Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another night with me. My name is Karen Mayfield Felton, and I'm here to have a conversation with you about life stuff. And today is a very special day, but a little bit of a somber one, but still special nonetheless. I want to talk about being a daddy's girl because today is the anniversary of my father's passing, his death. He died on December 10th, 2016, and it was a hard day for me, my sisters, my mom, and everybody that knew and loved him. I want to use this time to honor him and talk about what it's like to be a daddy's girl and some of the lessons that he taught me as his middle child. My sisters and I typically on this day have a favorite meal of his, have a favorite meal that we've enjoyed with him. We do something that my dad would have loved to do. So today, growing up, I'm a 70s kid. We loved McDonald's and so did he. So I'm not gonna eat on camera, but I stopped to get his favorite, which is a cheeseburger. My daddy loved burgers and he loved them burnt and meaty and well done. And well done. I was about to say medium, but I know that's me. He loved them well done. And I already ate the fries because I was hungry. Got home from work, stopped to get the meal, and I'm like, this fries not gonna make the video. They're gone. But anyway, I got the fries. And my father, in any sitting, whether at home like this on his favorite big chair or his big love seat in front of the TV, so it's fitting that I'm in our great room, even though you can't see the TV, it's right over here. He would have this size from my chest to here cup of some type of beverage. It would either be soda or some concoction. That's why I'm a beverage hound, because he would mix some of the strangest things and then consume them. One of his favorites was orange juice and Sprite. I put him on to ginger ale and pretty much anything. He loved juices. He loved that concentrated orange juice, and that's why I don't do orange juice to this day. I don't know how you did it, but nonetheless, it was a large cup. It was a liquid of his choosing, full of ice. I was sharing with my husband, I think last week or one day this week, that one of my fondest memories of my dad, and it's funny because my husband did it to me. I asked him to get me a cup of a beverage. And if this is the cup, the beverage stopped here. And so you can see my finger. And one of my father's pet peeves was, when I ask you to go get me a cup of ice with a beverage, I want that bad boy full. Like, I want you to have to walk slow when you bring it to me. And I know this because I have been sent back to the kitchen to fill that cup up many a time. And after a while, now that I'm grown, and I recently asked my husband to get me a beverage, the cup wasn't as big. But when I tell you that thing has some room in the top, I'm like, yo, fill this thing up. There's ice in it, but fill it up to the top. That's what daddy would do. And so I just enjoyed that memory. As I stated before, I am a middle child, so my sisters, hi out there, my lovelies, they are also celebrating in their own way. One year, my father loves seafood. We're from Hampton Roads, and so I'm not a fan of all the salt that was in the seafood, the seasoning, but he loved crabs. Oh my goodness. So a few years after his passing, like every year up to about 4 years, I would not get crabs now because crabs are out of season, but he was born in June. So on daddy's birthday, I'm like, I'm having crabs, I'm having a big cup of something, and it was just a celebration of all the things that made him unique. I purposely, when I came home, put on my Norfolk State alumni shirt because I went to Norfolk State, And that was one of his proud moments for me going to a HBCU. My father graduated from the Elizabeth City State University. He played basketball. My dad was a hooper, and he was a basketball coach. When I say an amazing coach, I love the word amazing, by the way. Y'all don't judge me for continuing to use that. Just go with it. He was a man's man, and he was a great coach. Even though this is going to be posted on my personal channel, if you follow me on Feet Planted LLC, so this is what I want you to do. Pause, go to your search engine, type in Feet Planted LLC. That's in my business YouTube account, and you will see that in 2023, I honored my dad by interviewing several of his players, and I called it a Daddy's Girl segment. And you'll see pictures of him. You'll hear his players that have gone on to be principals, leaders in their community. Just, how to say amazing again. Just men of standard, because that's who my dad was. And he coached and loved on those boys, oh my goodness, so much. So I honored him by interviewing them, to include my uncle, who is also a very famous, prolific coach, just in another state in New York City, Nyack. They both have the same name. So I have an uncle, Spencer Mayfield, and my father's name is Spencer Mayfield Jr. When we get real cool and close, and I invite you into my home, maybe, or we have a conversation, I will tell you why I have an uncle and a father with the same name. But anyway, much love to you, Uncle Scoop, if you are watching. And so imagine, I'm like Sophia on Golden Girls. Picture this, 15 years old, Sicily, no, not in Sicily, but growing up in high school, having a father who is a man's man, deep voice, handsome, charismatic, a shop teacher, and him coaching football. I think he was assistant coach in football during the season, head basketball coach for, I want to say 27 plus, almost maybe even 30 years. Officiated college girls games, and in retirement was an athletic director at St. Paul University. So I have had the luxury of sitting at the feet of a jock. I mean, for lack of a better phrase, I loved it. My daddy was complex. However, as his middle child, knee baby, Litza Witza, as I was affectionately called by him, I learned a lot. And one of the things that he taught me and my sisters, but our conversations were always be a lady. Always be a lady. Like he didn't want us out here acting crazy, having a reputation of being a lady of the street or having ill repute. He wanted us, he had our girls, so he wanted us to carry ourselves with respect. And I think every father wants that for their daughter and their child. One of the other memories of my dad that I have is him being a refuge for me when things got tough. So my daddy came from the streets of Suffolk, Virginia. He grew up hard, had some very tough beginnings in his life. And so he saw a lot of things, and he was tough. He raised me. I'll just speak to me and not necessarily talk about my sisters, but I spent a lot of time being around him because I was a tomboy. Like I got him. I loved watching Kung Fu theater on Saturday morning. When I tell you, see, my mama's gonna get mad at this, but when you have 3 daughters, what you think we did on Saturday morning is get up and let's get these chores done. There's 3 of y'all. Let's get to moving. Except my dad let us watch cartoons, and when Kung Fu theater came on, they had to do nothing. I just sat there next to him with, guess what, a bowl of cereal, and we watched it. And sometimes, actually more often than not, when I was younger, like I think maybe 7 or 6, he would actually sit on the floor. And so we would just lay on the floor together watching cartoons or watching Kung Fu Theater or watching something on TV. And then, of course, as we got older, he would be sitting in his lazy boy and he did flick through the channels. Oh my gosh. For those of you that have older parents, let me tell you, they commanded the remote. And when they got the remote, when you in the room, you just needed to sit back. We gonna watch 5 different channels in the span of 2 minutes because he had to see what was on. That was his own little ADD. But just it irritated my spirit significantly. But now these are fond memories that I have of my dad. And on this day, I just want to reflect on what it was like to be his daughter. And it wasn't always easy. Hello. It wasn't always easy. This is hashtag if you know, you know. However, he instilled in me grit. He was tough. And I get my badassness. I'm going to say it. I get my badassness from him and my mom. My mom is no slouch either. Make no mistake, Dr. Carolyn Mayfield don't play. But I learned early on, and I said this actually at his homegoing service, that my father protected me and my sisters, and he did not play about us at all. Being a shop teacher, you can imagine what it was like in high school. All the cute boys was in his class. I found reasons to go up in that classroom. I would go in and I would smile and I would be like, hey, and he'd be like, what you need? And all I would do is look across the classroom like, hey, y'all. They weren't looking at us. My father put the fear of God in any 3-legged person that even came near our direction. However, I still enjoy peeking and wishful thinking, but never being close to any of that because they were afraid to even look at us. However, I did manage to have some really close friendships with guys, and that's one of the reasons why now I'm really cool with guys. Like even in high school and college, most of my close friends were not girls; they were guys because they were just easy. It was just like, oh, you like her? Cool. You know, we talked about sports. They were like, you watched that game? Yeah, watch that game. You know, I was privy to what not just the game consisted of, but I was a coach's kid. So I went to practice. I was cool with the girls that kept the stats because I was mostly girls, at least at my school. A couple boys did, but mostly girls that kept stats. I was always at the games early, and not just the high school games, all the college games. To the point that we wanted a ride, but we almost didn't want to ride with him. We went to a game. I'll never forget this, and we were there when they were putting the tarp down on the field. He hated being late. He hated being late. I hate being late. So that's another characteristic that he built inside of me. If I'm late, it is because I didn't plan well, or I honestly don't want to be there on time because I hate being late. I'm telling y'all too much of my information. I'm telling y'all too much. So if you see me show up too late for something, it's probably because I didn't prepare or I just wasn't interested in being on time. Anywho, that's another fond memory. If you would have asked me what it was like to have, you know, a father like the man that I described, he was larger than life. I said he was complex. He had his issues just like everybody else. And he was my dad. He was in that category of you either liked him or you didn't. I've been in rooms as a child, preteen, and a grown person where people are talking ish about my dad, not realizing that I'm his offspring. And I remember distinctly, I was in my late 20s, and I went home for something, and they called my dad Mayfield, you know. And it's funny how they referred to him always gave me a clue whether they were a team coach or like, eh. And so this person was talking some ish, and I was a grown woman. Like I was cute. I wasn't a little girl. I wasn't little Karen anymore. Karen had some swag about her. And this guy was stepping to me, flirting with me. I was like, hey, what's up? You know the game. You know the game. You go home, you wear your cute stuff, and then people start noticing you and don't realize who you are. And so he was just like, so what's up? You're not gonna talk to me? And I said, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you. And so he was just like, so what you doing? You live around here? I said, yeah, I live in Suffolk. I'm not too far from home base. He was just like, so I don't remember seeing you. And I said, that's interesting because you know someone in my family. Like I came in and you were saying a lot about Coach Mayfield. He was just like, yeah, that all stars. I said, that's my dad. So I need you to understand that you talking about my father, and the same things that you don't like about him, he put in me. So I would appreciate it if you would keep his name out your mouth. And I went from being cute to being word, conversation over. And I just walked out. And I was just like, yeah, put some respect on that name, Those are just memories that I have. And the woman that I am, the fearlessness that I have a level of fearlessness because of my Father in heaven, as well as my earthly father who is gone to be with the Lord. He instilled in me to not quit. He, I've said the word ass before, so pardon me if you have kids work. I'm gonna say it again. He is the epitome of the badass, and I evoke some of that. I have learned to tamp that down because as I mature and as I endeavor to be a respectful woman, there's certain attributes that I used to have, like I got a mouth on me, that I've pulled back on that. I will say that I love hard like my dad. I tell my friends, like when they do something really good, like I push them, like I punch them. And it's funny because somebody's just like, you a tomboy. And it's like, yeah, I hung around my dad because I saw him like when he was really excited, he was like pushing people and stuff. And so I do that too. And I do it in love. Like, I remember telling one of my friends, like, man, you preach so good. I can punch you like you did great. He was just like, I know you can. I know you meant that in love. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to express adoration. But that is me. That is me. And he had a significant part in developing me and making me who I am. My mom played a tremendous part. She's still here, proud of me, loving me, and she'll tell you in a minute, yeah, she's more like me. But the reality of it is that my dad, there's not a day there is not a day that goes by that I don't think of him, that I don't remember something, because I'm going through stuff like, my job is high octane, world is flipped on its head, and it has for a long time. And there are stressors and things that are pressurizing me in my life now that didn't 10 years ago. And that just comes with age. So my heavenly Father, Godfather, is the one whom I pray to and who gives me the word and tells me, daughter, I need you to act like this. My earthly father, Spencer Mayfield Jr., Coach Mayfield, he was just like, you don't back down from nothing. Mayfields don't quit. What you talking about? I know you upset. I know that you are frustrated, but you can do this. And depending on what I shared with him about being frustrated, he was just like, I said, perfect example, I got my little heart hurt by some little knucklehead boy in my late 20s. But it took me a little longer to get over it because I was in it, And he was just like, how long you gonna be, what was his word? He cussed a lot. I can't say exactly what he said, but basically, how long you gonna be pounding over this ugly little ninja? Come on now, we don't do that. You're a good looking girl. Get out there. And he said, wait a minute, don't get out there. Let them come to you. But you're not gonna be sitting here pounding over those nappy hair. And I just remember, yeah, Dad, you right. I'm gonna get over it. And I did. Because my dad loved me. And he let me know in traditional and in non-traditional ways that, you know, you are in my heart. And I carry that. I evoke that. When I walk into a room, I walk in with him in my mind and in my head, almost like the shoulder, but not the devil and the angel. It is, don't say anything. It's in moments, nah, you got this. And in some moments, it's, oh, you gonna let that pass? And then, you know, I creep out of I'm just gonna leave that alone. And I do one of these and I'm like, can I talk to you for a minute? You know, and some of that is not just being extra. Some of it is learning to stand your ground. I've learned to speak truth. I've learned to approach people in ways that allow me to have uncomfortable conversations. And when I don't, it's because I can't control my emotions and I know it. And so I'm not going to approach you because you say one thing wrong and I'm ready to go. And that's just me and my personality. And that's very much like him. My father was just like, you know, I can make some phone calls. You ain't said nothing but a word. And while that is not how I choose to live my life in every moment, because it doesn't have to be that way, a part of my heart is so proud that my father raised me to be able to stand up for myself. And I don't just stand up for myself, I stand up for the people that I love. You come against some, let me get close to the camera. You mess with somebody I care about, and I'm gonna pray hard, but depending on what it is, I'm coming. And I'm just gonna leave it right there. That was Spencer Mayfield. You just saw my daddy, minus the cursing. And I love hard, and I get that from him. I also get grace, and I'm learning to evoke the tenderness of being Christ-like. But I love the baddie. I love it, you know, because that's part of who I am. I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. Who you're seeing in this YouTube video is really me, and I get me from Spencer Mayfield, and I get it from Dr. Carolyn Mayfield, and I'm proud. I'm proud. When I remarried my second husband, I made sure to always use Karen Mayfield Felton. So I went to Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, and I insert my middle name, my maiden name, now that I am remarried, on everything. And the only times I don't is when I need to not give out too much PII, but I'll end here and say that every time I write my name, I think of my dad. My name is Karen Mayfield Felton, and I appreciate you for listening to me talk about Daddy's Girl's first love. Dad, you are always with me. You are always in my heart, and I know I'll see you again. And I am so thankful to have gone through the challenging, the difficult, the beautiful times with you in my life, because it has helped me be able to withstand the nonsense that's happening now. So thank you, Earthly Father. Thank you, God Father, for allowing me to be a part of his lineage. Y'all have a good day. My cheeseburger's cold. We about to put this in the microwave. I'm about to devour it. I don't have a large drink, but I have one of my husband's Coke Zeros. Thanks, hubby. And I'm about to go on with my evening. I hope that you have fond memories of your loved ones and that you tell somebody about them. Keep their legacy alive. Keep it alive in you, and let people know where you come from and that you come with heart. All right? Y'all have a good one.